This episode of the Arkham Files is brought to you by the Iceberg Lounge, and they have something pretty special for you, as the Iceberg Lounge is now running an amazing special offer. For all who listen to this episode of the Arkham Files, you'll receive half off Todd Special. Be sure to tell all your friends you heard about how the Iceberg Lounge is great, generous, and absolutely not a front of criminal activity.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Arkham Files. I am Dr. Henderson.
I am Dr. Boose.
And today we are going to get into the case file of ex-Arkham Asylum scientist? Question mark? Doctor-ish? I don't know what his profession was. I guess he's
Doctor-ish.
Doctor? Yeah. Hugo Strange.
Yes.
I am honestly not too familiar with his story other than the Arkham game.
I'm not too familiar either. I just know I don't even know much about him. Definitely not in like top, I say 20 Batman villains. I said that I hate him. I just don't really know much about him.
Yeah.
And I hate he's not really, unless I'm just been living under a rock or something, I don't think he's really displayed well in media, or he's not in media that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
But my biggest introduction to him was, and I think to a lot of people, was Arkham City.
Mm-hmm.
Batman Arkham City, the video game.
Yeah.
I mean, I like him.
He's not to be confused with Doctor Strange or Doc Strange, which is another comic character that is not from DC or Marvel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he's okay. I mean, I have no issue with him.
Maybe today, reading this case file, might get you more interested in the character.
Let's find out.
Here we go. Let's start. Hugo Strange is a supervillain appearing in comic books published by DC Comics, commonly as an adversary of the superhero Batman. The character is one of Batman's first recurring villains, and is also one of the first to discover his secret identity. The character first appeared in Detective Comics number 36 in February of 1940. So that's something I actually didn't expect. He's early, really, really early.
I thought he would be like way later. And I mean, I probably could have guessed he was one of the first to find his secret identity. I wonder who was the first.
Probably Catwoman.
You think so? Well, I mean, yeah. I feel like it was said that in
That's true. The episode we did.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right. A notorious enemy of Batman, the character has appeared in various forms of non-comics media, including animation, video games, and the live-action television series Gotham, where he is portrayed by B.D. Wong.
How was he in that?
He was the villain for a whole season, and it was great. B.D. Wong played in Jurassic Park, all of them, and the new Jurassic World movies.
Oh, really?
He played the doctor or scientist. He's an Asian man.
Oh, I see. Yes, I see.
Yeah. He was a younger Hugo Strange, not as old yet. Obviously, he was before. But he was still a psychopath.
Yeah.
And he's the one that introduced the world of Clayface. He was creating monsters underneath Arkham.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what apparently he does in the comics. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get into the story of this character, starting with pre-crisis Earth 1. Professor Hugo Strange first appears in Detective Comics number 36 in February of 1940 as a scientist and criminal mastermind who uses a stolen, quotes, concentrated lightning machine to generate a dense fog every night so his gang can rob banks unseen, though he knows that Batman poses a threat to him. Batman, who already knows of Strange's experiments, begins investigating him after one of his henchmen commits a murder. When the robbers are apprehended, Strange vows to set a trap for Batman and deal with him personally. He has a dozen of his men ambush the vigilante, and one of them knocks him out with a blackjack. Batman wakes up in Strange's lair, where Strange hangs him from his wrists and lashes him with a whip. Batman breaks the ropes, gasses the room, and defeats Strange, who is jailed but quickly begins planning his escape. In Batman number 1 in the spring of 1940, he carries out his escape plan, recruits a new gang of criminals, then breaks out 5 insane patients from the local asylum and uses them as test subjects, turning them into hulking 15-foot-tall monsters by administering a powerful artificial growth hormone that acts on the pituitary gland. He outfits them with bulletproof clothing and uses them to rampage through Gotham City and distract the police while his men commit robberies. Strange administers the serum to Batman after the Giants capture him, saying it will work in 18 hours. Batman tricks two of the monsters into killing each other and formulates a drug that prevents any abnormal secretions from the pituitary gland, preventing the transformation. He's then able to kill all the other monsters and send Strange to his apparent death in a fall from a cliff, although he suspects that the mad scientist has survived. In Detective Comics number 46 in December of 1940, Strange returns and starts spreading a fear-inducing powder around the city until a punch from Batman again sends him falling off a cliff to his apparent death. Well,
yeah, I know. It's strange because I would.
Moral of the strange. Huh? Sorry.
Oh.
Moral of the story here is that this man needs to stay away from cliffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's just over and over. Isn't that how he dies? No, never mind. Racial. They, I was Racial Ghul stabs him. I forget. Okay.
Yeah. He returned years later in the 1970s, so there was a 30-year gap that he wasn't there.
Yeah,
which is actually a lot longer. Like Catwoman was 10 years.
Yeah,
it's like 30 years.
Feel bad for those Hugo Strange fans.
Yep, all two of them.
All two of them.
In the Strange Apparitions story arc in Detective Comics number 469 through 479, May 1977, September through October 1978. Having survived his earlier death, how this happened is never explained, seen, or shown. Strange left Gotham City and went to Europe for several years, where his criminal career prospered with no one to challenge him. Bored and hoping to pit his wits against Batman, Strange, now using the alias of Dr. Todd Hunter, opens a private hospital, Grey Towers Clinic, for Gotham's wealthiest citizens, where he holds them for ransom before mutating them into mindless monsters. When Bruce Wayne checks into the hospital to recover discreetly from radiation burns he sustained while fighting Dr. Phosphorus, Strange finds out that Wayne is Batman and uses this information to wreak havoc on his personal life. Strange then attempts to auction off the identity of Batman to Gotham City Councilman boss Rupert Thorne, the Penguin, and the Joker. Not wanting to lose, Thorne has Strange abducted and beaten by his men to reveal Batman's identity, but Strange apparently dies without ever telling him. Strange's ghost then comes back to haunt Thorne, driving the councilman insane. Thorne confesses his long career of corruption and is sent to Arkham Asylum. Man, this guy dies it's like the fourth time he's died.
He keeps coming back. Well, I think the whole ghost thing is like really dumb. I'll be honest.
Strange's ghost returns again to haunt Thorne in Detective Comics number 513 in April of 1982, and 516 in July of 1982, and 518 in September, and 520 in November, and Batman 354 in December. Jeez, okay. Leading up to the appearance of the real Hugo Strange in the last panel of the last page of the 5th issue mentioned here. As revealed 2 issues later in Batman number 356, Strange had indeed survived the beating from Thorne's men by using yoga techniques to slow his heartbeat to an undetectable level. Some Batman stuff right there. Yeah. It's also revealed that Strange also artificially created the ghost of himself that haunted Thorne by using strategically placed devices that simulated the appearance of a spirit. Upon his return, Strange uses the devices again to bring back the ghost so he could punish Thorne for double-crossing him. Subsequently, Strange attempts to weaken Bruce Wayne through the use of drugs and lifelike robots, mandroids, with the ultimate goal of destroying Wayne so completely that Strange could take his place as Batman. The plan fails, and Strange apparently dies once more when he attempts to kill Batman by blowing up a replica of Wayne Manor with himself in it, stating that if he cannot be Batman, then no one can. Batman survives the explosion, but no trace of Strange is found. Jeez.
Is that even possible, by the way? Like that whole yoga thing, like relaxing your heartbeat enough where it can become undetectable.
I don't think so. But then again, it might be. I don't know.
Okay.
My body does weird things.
I guess.
I'll just know next episode.
Yeah, I'll try.
All right. Later, Strange returns yet again. The Hugo Strange that died in the explosion was revealed to be was revealed by the real Strange to be a mandroid. That was the fake Hugo Strange that died in the explosion. Again, in Batman Annual number 10, in another attempt to destroy Batman and Bruce Wayne, this time attempting to financially bankrupt Wayne by using various tricks to force 3 Wayne Enterprises shareholders to sell their stock holdings to him so he could bankrupt the company. He also attempts to frame Batman as a criminal. However, Strange is defeated and sent to prison. Batman is able to stop Strange from further exploiting his knowledge of his secret identity by falsely claiming that he hypnotized Strange to give him a fake idea of Batman's true identity just before Commissioner Gordon shows up to arrest him. His explanation is so convincing that Strange begins to wonder if Batman is attempting a complex double bluff by letting him think that Bruce Wayne is Batman, and thus doubts whether his original conclusion was correct. And that was the end of Earth 1.
Wow.
So far, it hasn't made me like Hugo Strange. I kind of like him a little bit less. It's kind of weird.
It's very. I don't like anything really about him. He's like one of those like annoying villains.
Yeah.
Where
Well, I think later on post Crisis he's going to get better. He's going to change.
Excuse me. Sorry. Earth 2. The Earth 2 version of Strange is very similar to early history of the Earth 1 version and also survives the fall he experienced in Detective Comics 46. In the Brave and the Bold issue 182, January of 1982, it is revealed that he is left paralyzed by the fall. After years of physical therapy, he regains enough movement to write out the surgical techniques needed to repair the damage to his body. And bribes the surgeon to perform the operation, and the surgeon lacks Strange's skill, and the operation leaves Strange physically deformed. The surgeon is then killed for his failure. Strange uses one of his devices to capture Starman's cosmic rod to use its power to attack everyone and everything that Batman holds dear. Yeah, I don't know. He seems like one of those annoying villains that
this guy takes more L's than the Riddler.
he takes more L's, but like he keeps just coming back, and it's kind of funny, but it's like it would get on my nerves like crazy. It's like Lord,
yeah.
Excuse me. He generates a storm in Gotham to obtain the device, which creates a dimensional doorway to Earth 1. Bringing that universe's Batman over to Earth 2, which allows him and Earth 2's Robin to join with Earth 2's Batwoman in defeating Strange. Strange realizes that he is in fact angry at his own wasted life and deformed body, so he uses Cosmic Rod to commit suicide.
What is this guy's problem? He's just like end of every story he's in, he dies.
This is probably the most pathetic villain.
It is pretty pathetic.
It's like, oh my god.
Oh Jesus. All right. Post Crisis. This is a big one. I might skip through some of it. Not too much though. In the post Crisis continuity, Strange was Crisis being Crisis on Infinite Earths, the big crossover that changes the DC universe. This is after that. So Strange was reintroduced in the Prey storyline as an eccentric private psychiatrist enlisted to help a task force assigned to capture Batman by providing them with a psychological profile of the vigilante. Okay, that sounds more like Hugo Strange.
Yeah.
That sounds like him and the Tiger Guards.
Yeah. Which I'm more into. I don't know about this whole dying every week thing.
Yeah, let's hope it changes right now. While brilliant at his work, Strange is depicted as being equally unbalanced. He becomes so obsessed with the case, he starts wearing a replica Batman costume in private, convinced that he alone understands the darkness that drives Batman. Now, I've heard of that. That's not the first. I think I may have seen a picture of what him dressed in the Batman outfit.
I have never heard of this. It's very weird.
Yeah,
but he's like obsessed with what? Just like trying to take out.
He's obsessed with the case of like Batman's mind. And he says he alone he and him only understands the darkness that drives Batman.
Yeah.
So he's like this. I don't know how to explain it, but he's like he feels like he's connected to Batman mentally, kind of like the Riddler, but not.
I guess so.
According to Commissioner Gordon, Strange was, quote, abandoned as a child, grew up in state homes, a bright kid, but he apparently had a heck of a temper. Nobody knows how he put himself through college and medical school. Strange was raised in an orphanage on the Lower East Side of Gotham City in a neighborhood known as Hell's Crucible. As an adult, he becomes a professor of psychiatry at Gotham State University, but he had his tenure suspended after using his position to promote a series of increasingly bizarre genetic engineering theories. He's approached by an Indian man named Sanjay, who seeks Strange's aid in curing his sick brother. Strange agrees to help, and Sanjay works loyally by his side from that point onward. Borrowing money from gangster Sal Maroni, who is the employee of Gotham Kingpin Carmine Falcone, Strange sets up a private laboratory to test his theories. He then bribes a corrupt orderly to supply him with the ideal test subjects, incurably insane inmates from Arkham Asylum, who have been institutionalized for so long that they will not be missed. That also sounds more like it.
Yep.
You do remember in did you play and beat Lego DC Supervillains?
I have not.
Okay, Hugo Strange is in that game, and he makes you fight a few of his monster creations. And
Okay.
this is kind of reminding me of that. I know that they were inmates that he like tested on, so I guess that is why. They're just people that have been in there so long, no one will miss them. Which is kind of messed up.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Strange's experiments have literally monstrous results, with his test subjects turning into gigantic, mindless monster men, possessing superhuman strength and cannibalistic instincts. Strange uses the monster men to commit crimes so he can put together the money needed to pay back his mafia connections. Batman becomes involved after discovering some of the gruesome the gruesome remains of the monster men's cannibalistic rampages. When Strange sets his creations free in an illegal poker game, helping himself to the victim's money after the slaughter, the Gotham Mafia begins to grow suspicious. Okay, let's see. There was not a period at the end of that sentence. It was weird. Batman tracks Strange down and is captured by Sanjay and thrown to the Monster Men as an intended meal. Batman not only holds off the creatures, but uses them as a part of an inventive escape. Strange is enthralled by Batman, believing that he has found a genetically perfect man. He creates one final Monster Man using a drop of Batman's blood, and while his creation still has many of the flaws of its brothers, it lacks most of the grotesque disfigurements that had plagued Strange's earlier creations. Strange is subsequently forced to destroy his lab to evade capture. Soon after, he turns the Monster Men loose, including Sanjay's brother, who had also been mutated as a result of Strange's treatments. At Falcone's private estate in a bid to wipe out the mob's leaders, erasing his debt and covering up their ties to his work. In the battle that follows, all of the monster men are killed, along with Sanjay, who abandons Strange and dies trying to avenge his brother. Strange escapes in amid the chaos and succeeds in eradicating all links between himself and his experiments. Confident that his criminal past is permanently buried, he begins to appear on TV by reinventing himself as a psychological expert on Batman.
Huh. Okay.
So this is more like a villain. Let me tell you what I think Hugo Strange is like. And I'm not sure what the inspiration was for him, but he reminds me of Dr. Frankenstein.
Oh yeah.
He's like, that's his inspiration, I feel like.
Oh yeah. I really agree with that.
Yeah, and that makes him sound more of a threatening villain than just a guy who robs people and dies all the time.
And fakes being a ghost for some
Exactly.
reason. I don't know what that Hugo Strange I was pretty pathetic.
It was. It is possible that the events of Doug Minch and Paul Gulassi's, I might have said that wrong, Prey storyline takes place at this point, partly due to Strange's appearance on TV claiming to understand Batman's motives. Captain James Gordon is ordered to assemble a task force to apprehend the vigilante, with Strange assisting with him as a consultant to deduce Batman's secret identity. As the task force investigation progresses, Strange grows increasingly maniacal in his obsession with Batman, going so far as expressing a desire to become Batman and dressing up in a replica batsuit. To that end, Strange attempts to kill the Caped Crusader. However, Strange repeatedly underestimates the level of physical conditioning that is needed to be Batman, incorrectly theorizing that Batman has only been active for the past 5 years, while Gordon correctly deduces that it would take a lifetime of training to achieve Batman's abilities. Strange also diagnoses Batman with various mental illnesses, such as explaining Batman's use of a costume as symptomatic of a multiple personality disorder, whereas Gordon more accurately explains the Batsuit's intended purpose as scaring the pants off criminals. So Strange eventually concludes that Bruce Wayne is most likely Batman, brainwashes the task force commander to impersonate Batman to turn the public against him, and sends him to kidnap the mayor's daughter while dressed as the Dark Knight. Despite Strange's attempt to psychologically break Batman by creating recordings and setting up mannequins of Thomas and Martha Wayne blaming Bruce for their deaths, even using Wayne Manor itself to enhance his illusions, Bruce is able to collect himself and focus in the Batcave. The following day, he confronts Strange and tricks the professor into doubting his own hypothesis about Batman's secret identity, claiming that his parents are alive and living in Paraguay. Strange is ultimately exposed and is shot twice by the task force when he attempts to escape dressed in his replica batsuit before falling into a river and disappearing. Strange is then presumed dead.
For real this time?
Presumed.
Huh.
Okay, I like Hugo Strange a little bit more now. I liked how he's like, what did it say? There's the exact wording there. I want to see where it's at. He wants to understand Batman on the he's like gone so insane trying to understand Batman on a psychological level.
Yeah.
And he's just constantly trying to do that. I'm not going to read all this, but it goes into a storyline called Terror with the Scarecrow, and it has to do with Hugo Strange's body being found. He's alive, I think.
Yeah.
Dark Moon Rising, Batman, and the Monster Men, Prey, and Terror all take place during Batman's early years. Strange returns in a 4-part storyline called Transference. He appears in his own Batsuit. He captures Catwoman. Let's see here. Okay, so now this is important. I'm not going to get into that. He thinks he killed Batman, but it actually didn't happen. He has a mental breakdown and voluntarily turns himself in at Arkham.
Oh, really?
In the story arc Gotham Underground, Strange is associating with other supervillains such as the Mad Hatter, Dr. Death, and Two-Face. Strange and the others are rounded up by the Suicide Squad. He's imprisoned on another planet in the story Salvation Run. He also appears in The Batman Adventures, which is set in the DC animated universe. Issues 35 through 36 of the comic provide him with a tragic backstory. He witnessed the murder of his son David by mob boss Rupert Thorne and was so overcome with grief that he sought to literally erase the memory with his mind control technology. Plan backfired, however. Following the experiment, he could remember nothing but his son's death. After Batman stops him from killing Thorne, Strange is imprisoned in Arkham. Hey.
Oh, wow.
That's kind of rough. And that's the end of the post-crisis.
Okay.
New 52 is next. It's my favorite, but I don't know how he is in New 52, which scares me.
Well, about to find out. Here we go. In the continuity of the New 52, the 2011 reboot of the DC Universe, Detective Comics Volume 2 introduces the reader to Hugo Strange's son, Eli Strange, for the first time. Eli is first seen playing a game of poker with members of the Russian mob, betting a valuable bracelet, winning big, and cleaning house. Before he can walk away with his winnings, one of the mobsters forces him to play another hand, then discovers Eli's sleeve is loaded with cards. Before he can leave, before he can have him killed, the criminals realize that their bracelet, Eli, was a fake replica, had been stolen. Catwoman then pounces from the ceiling and takes out the entire group. She thanks Eli for being her distraction, the two having been worked together the entire time, and tells him to run home to his father, which he is last seen doing. Okay, I don't know what the whole point of that was.
Well, I'm not sure.
It's just talking about his son, just for some reason. Later, Strange. Oh, here it goes. Might do something. Later, Strange tasks his son with overseeing an operation to dose Gotham with fear gas. The Scarecrow led Batman to believe that a small boy in a picture would be harmed unless he put a stop to it. Arriving to the scene, Batman realizes that the small boy was actually Eli. He manages to avert the disaster, and Eli is arrested. Later, Batman reveals that Eli Strange is actually an alias,
Alias, yeah.
Alias, and that the boy's real name is Elliot Montrose.
Huh. This next sentence, I want to point out, Forever Evil is a New 52 book that I need to get and read. It's the next one up, and it's about this crime syndicate coming to Earth 1 and fighting the Justice League and like destroying everything. The crime syndicate, is like was Ultraman was like the Superman guy, and there's Johnny Quick, and there's like all the different like the other evil Earth Justice League, and it's a really good story, but I just haven't read it. I just want to point that out.
I gotcha. I have to look into that. Yeah. During the Forever Evil storyline, Hugo Strange is among the supervillains recruited by the crime syndicate to join the secret society of supervillains.
Interesting.
Okay, so not really much with New 52. I'm guessing he's the same way throughout.
He's not the most popular hero anyway.
No, yeah, he's hero. Excuse me.
Oh, I mean, sorry, villain. Never know. We work in Arkham.
Yeah, never know.
We know here are villains.
Yeah, you get confused.
They're confused sometimes.
Get confused.
And, hey, Batman is a villain, technically, if you don't think about it.
Huh? Maybe we should do him at some point.
Maybe.
Okay.
Now, yeah.
DC Rebirth. In the continuity of DC Reboot, DC Comics 2016 relaunch of its monthly superhero books, Hugo Strange appears during the Night of the Monster Man crossover storyline. Excuse me. Although apparently ignorant of Batman's identity, he is now determined to prove his superiority by attacking Gotham with a group of monster men created from the corpses of his former patients as, what does that say, representations of what Strange perceives as Batman's greatest flaws. His ego, grief, and fear, which ultimately provokes Batman into a confrontation at Strange's office penthouse headquarters. Lord. Strange wears what he terms a suicide suit, a near replica of the bat suit without a cape, a cowl that is ready to detonate if its wearer.
If its wearer is subjected to any physical attack. So if Batman punches him, the suit
It blows up. Okay. On the assumption that Batman will have no choice but to surrender the cowl to him as the true Batman, since he cannot take a life, Nightwing is able to defeat the final monster and amalgamation of previous ones by literally leaping inside it and injecting it with prepared antidote, while Batman outwits Strange by having his ally Clayface cover the penthouse in an Arctic seal prior to the confrontation.
Airtight.
Airtight. Okay.
Well,
airtight.
I'm going to give you all a reason for why it's hard to read these things, because Aaron Cash is the one who wrote these, and he's got he's typing with a hook, and so it's really difficult for that. And sometimes he messes up. And
I think I'm just dyslexic. I think I'm
or that.
One of the two. Well, it's like weird because it's like I always assumed that airtight was like had a space in it. I guess it doesn't. So no big deal. I was like airtight. I was like, okay. Anyways,
you said Arctic.
Arctic seal. I'm like, that makes no sense. Anyways, running out of oxygen, loses consciousness while Batman is still standing. Nightwing, musing that Strange failed to realize that Batman's flaws were actually his motivation in protecting Gotham. Oh, I didn't realize there was more. Holy crap. Excuse me. Hugo Strange later appears as a member of the...
Was that Cabal, I think?
Cabal, yeah. Cabal alongside Dr. Psycho, Degaton,
yeah.
Degaton, the Queen Bee, and Amazo.
Oh, amazing. I got Amazo open here.
Amazo, yeah.
And that is the end of the case file. There is a little note here at the bottom saying that he did appear in the Batman 66 universe. It says in the Batman 66 universe, Hugo Strange is initially a psychiatrist at the Arkham Institute until being revealed as a villain, and Batman 66 meets the Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Okay.
Yeah. He also kidnapped Steve Trevor, which, I mean, well, who cares?
Yeah, no one cares.
And then it goes through here a whole description of his time on Gotham. Talks about the Riddler, Oswald Cobblepot, Solomon Grundy, Fish Mooney, Azrael, Port of Owls. Excuse me. Port of Owls were in Gotham. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And Bane. It talks about Bane. He created Bane.
Oh, really?
And it goes to the animated series. He is in the animated series as well.
Oh, yeah, I remember that episode. Yeah, actually, it was actually
voiced by Ray Bucktinica.
Okay.
Interesting. Hugo Strange. Now, I think Hugo Strange needs to appear in the Batman movies.
Yeah, I agree.
He was also voiced by Corey Burton in Batman Arkham City.
Okay.
Yeah. Hugo Strange is a featured villain and playable character in the minigame Villain Hunt on the Nintendo DS version of Lego Batman, the video game.
Really? Oh, okay.
Hugo Strange makes a cameo appearance in Injustice: Gods Among Us. He appears as a doctor at President Arkham Asylum, observing the fight and presumably taking notes.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and he's also a playable character in Lego DC Supervillains, voiced by Corey Burton, who reprises his role from Arkham City.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep, and that is the case file of one Hugo Strange.
Awesome.
You ready to go ahead and end this off?
Yep.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us for this episode of the Arkham Files. Next week, we'll have another episode out. That episode will be about the Demon's Head himself, Ra's al Ghul. Or how do you say it? You say Raz or you say Raish?
I say Raish.
I do too.
Racial ghoul.
Inside jokes.
Inside joke.
And we really hope you checked it out. Go ahead and check out our last episode. Had a lot of fun with that one. I believe we talked about... What did we talk about?
We talked about Catwoman.
Was it last week, Catwoman?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so Catwoman last week. Before that was Clayface. Go check those out, definitely. Like I said, Ra's al Ghul is next episode. And after a couple episodes after Ra's al Ghul, there's a run I'm really excited for. I'm gonna tease it. I mean, an old man and his puppets, am I right? That's
yeah.
That's not, I don't know where your mind went. Anyway.
There you go. Sure, yeah.
Okay.
No, ignore me.
Thank you all so much for joining us this episode, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
See ya.